It is the final day of Week 2 here in the LPL, and we've got plenty of spicy games remaining. First up, we're going to have Suning versus LGD in the Hangzhou Arena. That one's going to be first up, and they're having a little bit of different goals here. Suning, they want to keep their streak going, but LGD, they want to establish the same dominance, the same success they found at the end of last split, and LGD fans are going to be out in force as always. For once, the LGD fans will actually be fitting with their cheers, but of course, first up, Suning going to be walking into the arena. Everyone looking a little bit serious, and you're going to notice that Maple in the mid lane, of course, after last series we saw from them, the amazing pot blossoms from him, SwordArt as well sitting next to him, always smiling, always cheery, but you're going to note that we're going to be having Weiwei here coming into the jungle instead of Hacker. So Suning trying to mix it up despite their success in the first series. LGD, though, they're pretty happy with what they've got. Last series, of course, they took down almost RNG. They took them to 3 whole games, and they're excited about that one, but we want to see how far they can take it off the back of Kramer as we get into the first series of games. But until then, welcome back to the LPL. My name is Matt, and I'm Biubiu Daniel, joined once again by Clement Chu. Clement, I'm excited for today's games. How you feeling?
I am excited as well. LGD has not been looking so sharp in a very long time. So they've taken down their first series against Vici, went the distance against RNG. I think they will take it today against Suning as well.
Oh, I do too. I'm so excited for them. You know, we saw Lies pull out an amazing performance on the Nico as well in their series against Vici, and we see Kramer doing what Kramer does, you know, and not on Kai'Sa. I think that was one of the most exciting things for me in that series at the very least. But that's not all we've got on the docket today. First up, let's take a look at the standings, because now we have had every single team in the LPL playing at least one series.
Yeah, exactly. With yesterday's Rogue Warrior versus RNG match, now everyone is on the table, and we're seeing some teams rush out in front of everyone else. RNG is looking absolutely clean. +5, the only game they dropped so far, is to this LGD squad, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And RNG are looking incredibly dominant now that they have Longsheng in the top lane, and that makes a great segue into talking about Suning, because they, of course, lost Longsheng, formerly Xiao Al. Now they're running with Biubiu, and while they had success in their first series, I would not categorize it as something that they can walk away and be like, flawless victory, we'll get them here in this next series.
Not exactly a clean game. That's what everyone is saying. Maple did save the series with his Sylas play, but the rest of the map looked really sluggish, and we yet to have seen Smlz really shine as the sole carrier on the team. So it's going to be a tough one between him and Kramer.
Yep, that's going to be our first matchup, Suning versus LGD, and later in the day, we're going to have EDG versus JDG, 2 of our playoff contenders, 1 of our LPL finalists as well. But let's first circle back to the Suning versus LGD series, because this one for LGD is going to be really exciting.
It's absolutely massive, and a big reason why LGD is looking so good right now, I think, has to be their improved team fights. Now, if you think about what LGD was in the last split, they were 1-10, and they were running around the map doing crazy skirmishes. A lot of times it didn't work, and to me, it didn't make sense because they had Kramer on the team. They had a goal to scale towards. Now their mid-game is looking so clean, the team coordination is finally there, and they are looking to dominate a lot of these 5v5 team fights. Most of all, Condi looks like he's doing a good job in the shot calling, had a great Jarvan performance, and in the series versus RNG, 100% banned away. You can't let that man be able to initiate and shot call for this team at the same time. Their frontline, Lies as well, has been doing a great job. We always touted him as the best Kennen player. He's finding a very similar performance on the Nico. Big AoE ultimates is what this man is all about. Hecarim, Nico, Kennen, that's what we can expect for him. And these mid-game team fights are what is propelling LGT to their new heights now.
Seems like if you give Lies an ultimate that has a circular indicator, he's going to do just fine on that one. But I think what's important coming in here for LGD as well is talking about that it used to be a little bit of the Kramer show last split. A lot of times they'd wait for him to carry, they'd stick him on the Kai'Sa. He has 13 games on that last split, his most played by far. And it just worked for them. He was able to find solo kills on it even. He was able to take them into later stages of the game. But now they're rotating him onto different picks. They're rotating him onto the Lucian. And he is no longer the massive highlight player in these team fights. He's just a part of it. And I think that's really exciting for LGD because now they can carry from all their positions.
It's much more healthy. This is not a one-man game. Kramer was their sole sound of reason in the spring split, but now Condi is finally back. This guy was a finals MVP back in 2017. Took a bit of a hiatus with all of his family business on WE, getting dropped and all of that, and then Yuuki finally reestablishing himself in the roster. Lies playing upwards. This team, for me, is ready to contest for playoffs. It might seem super weird. It might not be the LGD you know and love, but they're finally here.
And after their last split finish, this is really exciting for them. But we have something else a little bit exciting that we haven't gotten a chance to talk about in full since 9.10 is dropped. We, of course, the cat's out of the bag. We have Yuumi on the patch now, and we've seen a lot of its influence here in the LPL.
So taking a look at Yuumi in the professional sense, she's not as high a priority as the flex picks like Aatrox or the Akali, but she's a very important combo piece enabler. The most paired champion that we've seen her with is actually the Olaf, because you get a very strong level 1 invade, and on the open floor, you can chase down anyone with ease. This is the play that we see very frequently. You just go into their jungle, you have an 80% slow and that prowling projectile, and even some cool footwork right here as you see him dodge out on the Ming headbutt and pulverize. The other point that is important about Yuumi is that you want to play her on the strong side. When she's going and pushing the wave into the enemy tower, she can make plays like this. But on the reverse, she doesn't have wave clear. She doesn't have a crowd control that she can instantly use. So playing her on the weak side has been very detrimental. Wave clear from her lane partner is the most important point. So the main champions we've been seeing her with have been the Sivir and the Lucian. You establish a strong side on the map. You don't have to worry about being tower dove because that's one of the most common plays here in the LPL, especially against teams like RNG. And then you can roam around the map with your Olaf and do plays like that. I like to call the composition the Zoomies comp, where you have Sivir, you have Olaf, and you have Yuuki just chasing people down.
I think one of the most interesting things, too, another interesting pairing at the very least, is the Ezreal Yuumi lane, because you have so much poke, and once you get the Iceborne Gauntlet, you have the 80% slow from the Prowling Projectile, as you mentioned, but then you also have the slows from the Ezreal, and both of those champions have massive, massive amounts of poke in their kit. So once you can get going, you can start taking down the bot lane and forcing them out of lane with very little effort from massive range.
We've seen that yesterday, actually. Both of the Ezreal and Yuumi lanes actually won the game for their teams. But the most important part is that the teams realize that Ezreal and Yuumi, left on their own, they don't have any wave clear, so they've been pairing them with very strong mid-priority champions like the Renekton to at least keep the lane from collapsing. And when you get in the mid-late game like you were talking about, the poke is tremendous.
If you were going to pick which of these two teams were going to take it in the Yuumi in this chance, which one would it be? Because of course, the Suning roster, I don't know about SwordArt picking that one up.
Yeah, I think SwordArt is used to doing a lot of solo roam, so something like Thresh is much more up his alley. I actually expect RD to be the one that's more likely to pick it up, since, you know, it's great when you have it with a hyper carry, someone like Kramer that wants to run around the map anyway, and RD has not been the roam first type of support. The thing about Yuumi is she typically does not bring her own flash. She goes with heal and exhaust. That's 90% of the time. So she's not a champion that you want to do a solo warding mission. But if you're just going to stick in lane, then she's a great champion for you.
Of course, RD, the support for LGD. The rest of the team is Lies in the top lane, Condi in the jungle, the son of Baron himself, Yuuki in the mid lane, and Kramer, one of the funnest AD carries to watch coming in on that bottom lane position.
Yeah, I still haven't yet to see his vein, you know. This guy was known as a vein head back when he was playing in the Korean solo queue. Yeah, was actually #1 in Korean solo queue for a while just based on that single champion. So, you know, it's taken a lot of hits with the Guinsoo's Rage Blade and all that, but I'm still hoping that's his
We still have a
best
chance.
champion. Yeah.
There's still a chance of seeing him brought out. You know, you have a few pocket picks here. Uzi's been doing it for years. Why can't Kramer? He's got the ability, and we haven't really seen much of it. It's been mostly that Kai'Sa, and I think honestly that might be a trend that continues here. Kai'Sa, yes, the Rage Blade changes hurt all the users, but as far as Kai'Sa goes, she's still got a lot of strength in her build paths.
And definitely, you have to think about the Nautilus as well. It's such a prominent pick in the meta, can be flexed to 2 positions in the mid and the bot lane, and that has really been boosting up the strength of Kai'Sa as a pick. You can get 2 stacks on that level 1 with the staggering blow and the dredge line, and that just gives you so much damage. You basically have a free level 1, level 2 with the Kai'Sa that way. So I think Kai'Sa is going to remain one of those staple steady picks, but other than that, I think the Lucian is something that we should also mention, because Kramer has been picking this one up as well, and the new Lucian that we've been seeing has been going with the Essence Reaver with the buffed AD attack damage. You're going crit build now, not going for the Black Cleaver, and that has really upped his stock. He's strong in lane, he's good with Yuumi, and he's also a late game powerhouse as well with the new build.
Yeah, as you said, I mean, Kramer's found a lot of success on it. I believe in the 2 games he played, it was 5-1-8 and 11-1-5, something ridiculous like that. I know it was 11 kills, I know it was 5 kills, and 1 death in both games. So the man's consistent on it. Not always going to be making the highlight plays on the Lucian from what we've seen so far, but he's still capable of being that strong carry. And this is something that's exciting for me coming into this series is Kramer in general, I've been big on for a while, but something I've been concerned about is his champion pool because he's been put on the Kai'Sa so much. But seeing that success on the Lucian suggests to me at the very least, he's got other options.
I think the team in general has got better options. They don't need to rely on Kramer to solo carry, and that's allowing him to go into more mid-game focused champions like the Lucian, like the Sivir. They can start doing their own things. They don't need to wait for 2 items to start playing with the team, and that has really buffed up LGD's repertoire of weapons, their arsenal, so to say. On the other hand, Suning, for me, is still playing a very, very slow game. From what we can tell, they're still going on the Kai'Sa path mainly, and the rest of the team isn't standing out in the early game whatsoever. They tried a couple of games with the Sylas and Rek'Sai, but didn't actually get the kill lane to work properly. So for me, what I'm looking for in this matchup is if Suning, with Weiwei now on the roster in the starting position, can they make something happen in the early game, or are they just going to have terms dictated to them?
Well, one of the problems that we were highlighting for the team earlier on in their last series was that it's a communication thing. And swapping out the jungler, sometimes that can solve that. But since Weiwei, Angel, Hacker, Maple have all been playing hot potato with the mid and jungle positions for the last split entirely, I want to say I think this might improve it, but at the same time, I feel like it might be a larger systemic issue that the team has to work through rather than just keep swapping in and out players.
And you have to remember, this team lost Longxing to RNG. So this team, as I see it right now, is completely bot focused. It is SMLZ focused. It is about him carrying him through. And if you think about SMLZ's history, he actually took a playoff series against EDG in their prime when he was on OMG, just playing that type of a style. But we haven't seen that sort of a dominating team fight from Suning. So they lost their offensive options, but they really haven't evolved where SMLZ and his carrying potential can get them through a series either. So they're kind of in this gray area. I'm not sure where Suning is actually going to end up. And the general narrative we had for Suning is that they had the pieces last split. They had great players. They had 2 guys from Flash Wolves. They have Longxing in the top lane. They have SMLZ, but they didn't have the focus. They seem to get into each other's way. And for Suning, this time around, I want to see them really hone onto SMLZ, really make him a prime focus, at least get that win condition drilled in.
That is a beautiful fan art there.
Yeah.
Condi, son of Baron, he's living up to it. I love all the fans coming out here for LGD. It's always, it's always fun to see because we go into every series and the third cheer without fail. LGD, Zhao, they get to at least 2 every time, but it's really nice to see that in the home arena they still get to experience that support.
There's no TSM anymore.
No.
I'm actually kind of sad
Yeah,
about
I know.
that.
What happened? It's just LGD. It's never followed up by a TSM anymore, but at least this time the LGD will be confined just in. So we have the chance of the TSM. We're missing a third chant in this series, but we're seeing a lot of the fans coming out to support
I want
the
to
team.
see some EU love actually going on. You know,
Yeah.
like G2 with them winning MSI, they deserve some chance. Or I guess not in the meme way that the people do
Yeah,
it though.
it's hard. It's hard to replace
different
LGD
emotion.
and TSM because they're just like, yes, these are teams that everyone knows. Whereas G2, it's like, yeah, that's just an objectively amazing team throughout its entire history.
Pretty true. Pretty true. No longer are the vacation days anymore. Now we're the 18-minute game enders or the. I forgot how long that series lasted. It was
I believe it's
under
the
70 minutes.
Yeah, I believe it's the
entire
shortest
finals.
best of 5 in international history, something like that.
Damn, that was pretty rough.
It's a little bit brutal. I don't think we're going to see that much brutality coming out in today's series. I kind of hope for it a little bit.
Yeah, the shortest game we've seen so far from my time in the LPL has been that 15-minute game that RNG dunked on TOP during the was it the playoffs? Yeah, it was actually. I think it was the playoffs. It was dirty, absolutely dirty.
I mean, we've seen some short games this last split too. We saw the TOP versus OMG series, which while the game time wasn't exactly the shortest, was one of the most dominating victories we've seen. I'm hoping to see something like that today, but we're actually going to see support bans coming out primarily here from Suning and LGD, and this is interesting to me. The Sona, of course, Smlz did play that their last series, but the Yuumi, we had so much time. We sat there, we talked about it. We're like, this is an amazing pick. Can't wait to see it. Suning says, nope, get out of here.
Yeah, it's much more of an RD pick than it would be a SwordArt pick, so I respect them taking away options that they themselves can't really use. We've actually seen a couple of first pick Yuumis in the LCK so far. Hasn't been working that well. I think it does have a lot of counters, but seeing as the Sona is also taken off the table, you might as well just take it away. Like, Sona is actually considered a good counter to the Yuumi.
And we saw the Sona Lucian bot lane as well, with a lot of poke, a lot of damage coming out. And Olaf being banned away, no surprise there. It has been so dominant here in the past 2 weeks of the LPL.
And you can just tell by the bans that Suning have the same read we do. LGD is a much more improved team fighting team. The Nico and the Jarvan are just too much of a headache to deal with. If RNG can't beat LGD with those two on the field, we're not even going to try it for Suning. And I like the idea here because Lies is not a big flex pick player. I think that's one of the weaknesses in LGD's draft, is that they're not going to have a lot of those Aatrox or Relias between Lies and Yuuki. You know where those champions are going to go once they show up.
That's sad. They did leave a lot of flex picks up here in the draft. Of course, we already left up the Sylas there for Maple. He showed a good performance on it last series, but also we still have the Rise. We still have the Akali, like you mentioned. We still have the Jayce. So a lot of options left open on the field here for LGD.
Yep, the Jayce has been solely a Yuuki pick so far, and he's been brilliant on it. It's probably one of his best champions. I like them picking it up. It's a good run into Sylas, which is most likely going to be from Maple. Biubiu actually is more of a utility role on the team, so I do expect the Sylas to still be heading towards the mid lane, and I like what LGD is doing here. They're taking away the Rek'Sai along with it. Without Olaf on the rest of the available picks, Rek'Sai is the tier 1 jungler, #1 strongest jungler here, and Suning's been playing a lot of Rek'Sai Sylas kill lanes.
That said, we do still have the option for something like the Sejuani here, still available for Suning. We've been seeing popping up even here in the LPL a lot more frequently, but it looks like instead they want to secure the Nautilus there for SwordArt. I want to see if they want to go for the AD carry next year.
I gotta say, it feels like a Kai'Sa pick coming up. Now, Suning has already played 2 games of the Kai'Sa. Like I was talking about, they're very much set in their ways on trying to get Smlz into a position to carry. Now, the Xin Zhao pick is quite interesting. Early game, you still actually have a lead over the Rek'Sai. If you find Rek'Sai in the jungle and you have because you typically do actually have the first hit in, and you can win that trade. But the reason that Xin Zhao is being picked a lot of times is for that early game snowball. He's not a great champion once you get into those big team fights. Very vulnerable to crowd control. So once again, Suning is trying to snowball Maple into a good position with the help of Weiwei here. Very extreme early game picks.
Question is, if they don't get through that early game, how do you deal with LGD at this point? Because we've talked about LGD's team fighting prowess as of late, and yes, Maple has come out with some amazing plays on the Sylas, but I wouldn't say they're single-handedly team fight ending for the most part. He's still going to need the follow-up. He's still going to need the damage, and in the late game, if you have the Xin who's more vulnerable, yes, it's against the Rek'Sai, but I still have a little bit of concerns. Is that...
It's definitely a a reasonable concern, I would say. Like, LGD's composition, right now, they're very strong early. I would still give them the lead in terms of Jayce, Rek'Sai versus the Zhao and Sylas. I feel like you bully that lane a lot, and if Rek'Sai can get good vision around with his sonar, with her sonar, excuse me, then you should still be relatively safe. Of course, in the 2v2, Suning still win, but there's with the lane priority and in terms of what Rek'Sai can do on the map, you should still be able to keep that lane safe. So for Suning, I think they need to look for other win cons rather than just running straight in onto the team fights. Like, having a split push option would be great here. Not having to just run into LGD into a big 5v5, I think is actually preferable for their composition. And you can see Suning are trying to take away some of those options in terms of the big 5-man engage. They know if there's a Kennen with On the Hunt behind him, they can't avoid it. So they're just taking away these options that allow LGD to initiate. And if you look at LGD's composition, that's one thing that they're lacking. Hard crowd control to actually nail down those 5v5s.
A lot of the go buttons have been taken away here in the draft here by Suning. So LGD have very few options left. The support position is still open, of course. That's why the Galio was taken away.
Of course, it's Kai'Sa.
Yeah, you called it. Kai'Sa going to be there paired up with the Nautilus.
Not my favorite selection so far. Kai'Sa actually has a pretty poor win rate overall in the LPL from what we've seen. Again, she's still very reliant on being a 2-item champion rather than just hit the button and go on Essence Reaver alone. So she's kind of a slower scaling one, and she does rely on that big team fight. So Suning, at least they're going to give themselves a little bit of a chance in the side lanes with the Vladimir pick. This is something that Maple actually has played off meta as well, so it's potentially could go mid. Neither of the matchups are honestly that great for him at the moment, but it's a pick that he could do in those team fights.
Okay, it's a Fiddlesticks to round out LGD's composition here. Clement, I'm not feeling too great about this one.
Well, here's the thing about Fiddle. You dominate the lane with how much push you have, and then you die. So against a Nautilus, it's a very risky pick. I don't love the Fiddle at this time, because what it means is if Suning are able to get the Xin Zhao into the bot lane, Fiddle's just going to die. It's so hard to actually survive on that Fiddle. The perfect timing comes in post 10 minutes. You're not going to really get much use of that. And what I see happening this game is Suning actually have a win condition with the Fiddlesticks. They farm the Fiddle, they get Kai'Sa ahead, and maybe that will carry them through the 5v5s right now. They don't have a great lead in the solo lanes in the split pushing department either. So overall, I have to say I like LGD's composition a bit more. I think LGD's comp in what they want to do, they have a very strong, a very clear identity when it comes to the 5v5, and they should have their pick of the initiation as well with On the Hunt. So it's much easier to execute. They can just run at you with Pro Storm. So I like LGD's comp a little bit more. I think it covers a lot more bases. For Suning, it's neither here nor there. It's a team fight comp, but I seriously doubt that they're going to get the team fights that they want, because they're not going to be able to decide when they want to initiate.
That said, we don't have that direct, easy initiation, that hard engage there for LGD, so that is maybe a potential weakness in their composition.
True. Like, what happens here if someone just cleansed the Terrify coming in from Fiddlesticks, then maybe that comp won't be able to close in, but with Akali, with On the Hunt, I'm still leaning toward that LGD.
All right, we'll see how LGD's run at them composition goes as we get here into Game 1 of LGD versus Suning.
Ooh.
I like it.
It took a page from Xi'an Stadium.
Now that's the home field advantage there, Clement. Notice how Suning didn't get the drums for their chant. That's how LGD are going to win. That was their plan the whole time.
Nothing to energize the fan base, but a bit of bass.
That's right.
People really love that. When you get their hearts pumping. I was taking a look at the level 1s and the runes. Pretty standard across the board. We do see the Conquerors actually being taken in the top side, instead of what we see most of the time as the Electrocute in the mid lane.
And the level 1's not going to be very eventful here either. Both junglers going to be starting off here on this red buff. So far, nothing crazy, but with LGD's lane dominant composition, I feel like they're pretty happy with that one.
And this is quite interesting because Suning could be surprising LGD with a level 2. If LGD push too hard here, it could just be a Xin Zhao level 2 gank coming in. And I think that's exactly what they're going for. They actually faked that the Xin Zhao was going into the top side without giving him a leash. However, LGD will spot it.
Great ward there by LGD to keep themselves safe. And at this point, it looks like they're going to be rotating out. Of course, the gank was spotted away, so this gives LGD a little bit more freedom.
I really like that gamble from Suning. I think it's a great way to punish the bot lane. However, I'm really impressed by LGD's warding as well. They not only caught... oh, wait a minute.
Uh-oh, engaged down onto Kramer. He has to flash away from it. RD getting pretty low as well, but the aftershock going to keep him safe. Suning getting the better end of that trade.
Great use of the level 2 initiate, and you do see the flash away from Kramer, so that makes that lane incredibly vulnerable. That's what I was talking about when I wasn't that happy with the Fiddlesticks, to be honest. I understand that it gives you lane priority, but at the same time, it also gives Smlz a target to snowball on.
Yeah, the lane priority just hasn't been coming through so far. They're down almost an entire wave of CS already. That is, of course, because of the jungle pressure early, but at the same time, it's not a great look for a bottom lane who's just looking to shove out, who's just looking to get that early domination. And so far, LGD have been punished for their game plan.
Very interesting pathing that we're seeing from Weiwei. This is extremely unexpected. He didn't actually clear out his Raptors. He did his Wolves and then looped around towards the bot lane, basically thinking that he had to match Condi in this wave. So we're seeing Weiwei being very cognizant of where the Rek'Sai could be.
But now Weiwei is going to take that cognizance and he's going to try and take it down into the bottom lane, looking for a lane gank. It will be spotted out. Good spell shield there from Kramer. I'm not sure the heal was entirely necessary, but it'll just top him up.
Yep, the extra movement speed, just trying to get away there. Good spell shield from Kramer. And 0 summoners on this LGD bot lane. That's not exactly how you want to start this. This is going to force Condi to actually babysit this lane a bit more than he might want to. So if you look at Weiwei's pathing right now, suddenly Lies is in a pretty difficult position because Rek'Sai's in the bot side. Xin Zhao, who actually started bot and then is now going top, has a very clear path straight into the Jayce lane. And as long as Suning don't play over-aggressive in this lane, they should come out with a map-wide advantage.
Well, let's see. Let's make sure Lies probably knows he doesn't have all that jungle pressure now that Condi's going to be facing down towards the bottom side of things, so he may play a little bit more carefully, just all on the jungle pathing at this point as to where the pressure goes. Looks like some defensive pings are going out towards that red buff side from LGD. Weiwei looking for the gank in the mid lane. Doesn't look like Yuuki knows. He's walked up pretty far. He's getting engaged on here. He's still in the shroud, but it's not going to matter for any much longer. Flash away, Yuuki, but can he survive? Doesn't look like it. First blood going over to Weiwei.
Very well played on the kill lane, and unfortunately for Yuuki, just going a little bit too far forward. Didn't have the E there either, so good calculations on the cooldown. I think Maple must have communicated that to Weiwei, saying that, hey, there's no shuriken flip here. Yuuki's a sitting duck.
Yuuki still demonstrating some of the problems that we had with his performance last split. He had one of the lower KDAs, and it's not because he didn't get a lot of kills, Clement. It's because he and indeed the entire LGD squad were just kind of dying a little bit.
Okay, so just taking a look. Sometimes Alt-Tab is... you can fat finger that quite easily. So just taking a look at the situation now. Condi has to choose right now. Neither his bot lane or his mid lane has a flash, and they're very vulnerable to being ganked by Weiwei. Repeat ganking just incoming. And at the meantime, he can't really leave the Jayce alone on the island either. That pick's not going to do great later as the game goes on. So Condi's in a pretty difficult spot. I want to see how he passes around this. I think the smart thing for Suning right now is actually just to continue to go towards the bottom side of the map. Try to capitalize on those two weak lanes, and as long as you put vision there into the blue side of LGD, you should be able to tell that the Rek'Sai is just top.
A little bit of a trade going down in the mid lane. Both laners are 6 at this point. But Clement, if you were Condi and you were deciding which lane you'd rather leave out to dry, where would you go?
If I was Condi, I would say, you know what, like, I still think I need a match bot. I honestly think that's what needs to happen at this point. If you think about Suning as a team, Biubiu's not really the guy that's going to like hard carry this team later on in the game. It's going to be down to Smlz, and knowing those statistics and just how much damage they're getting out of Kai'Sa in the bot lane, I still think you need to cover that lane. I still think LGD versus Suning is primarily a matchup between the two marksmen. And
that's something that we've been a little bit concerned about last split. Of course, Kramer has shown great performances in the mid to late game stages, but I would say his laning is definitely his weakest point, and it's showing a lot here this game. He's down 22 CS, and yeah, there's been a lot of pressure put onto him, but as the Sivir Fiddlesticks lane, as a lane that has this much shove, that seems a little bit problematic.
That was a very crucial mistake that Kramer made in the level 1 portions of the game. Just getting his flash blown like that, you don't want to see that happen.
Have to play so much more carefully after that. Now Yuuki starting to feel a little bit of that pressure himself, taking huge chunks of damage here from Maple without really being able to respond, and he doesn't have his flash up either. So he's going to be in a lot of danger as Weiwei looking down towards the bottom side. Just going to camp out here, make sure Condi doesn't make an appearance unwanted.
Yep, I like both of these junglers' decision. What this is saying is that, you know what, Lies, you're not going to get that much of a lane lead that a Jayce should have over Vladimir with jungle pressure, but we need to keep our bot lane stabilized. It is what it is, and at least Condi has allowed Kramer to get through the phase where he had 0 summoners. Now they're good. They're in a good place to get this lane gank down.
Condi's looking for it. Not quite there just yet. Has the red buff available. Looking for the right timing, but the mid lane, that might be a problem. Perfect execution, ready to go, but Yuuki has to make it out of there. Weiwei goes in for the dive. Lies is still here with a ton of damage. The Conqueror's been procced. He's looking for the kill, but not going to be able to find it. He's already blown the flash. LGD won't find a kill in the mid lane.
Successful trade from LGD's side, even though it does give Vladimir a lot of breathing room, but I do think they get it. A little bit more ultimates down there. Oh, no, actually, excuse me. Lies actually blown his flash for that. So Suning actually come out ahead with the summoner lead.
Yuuki, of course, still chunked down pretty heavily here into the mid lane, so he's having a lot of problems as well. And Condi, it feels like, hasn't really picked a side to go towards as much. He tried to go for the one lane gank bottom, ended up abandoning it, and now LGD are stuck in a rough spot because we've seen Lies. He had to waste his time. He's now back in the top lane. That 20 CS lead he had, now it's only 10. So now Suning have a full 1,000 gold advantage, and LGD don't seem like they've been able to make that back up at all yet.
That's what happens when you have a lot of like solo laning mistakes happen in the early game. LGD's bot lane didn't respect the level 2. They shoved in early. A really smart play by Weiwei. I've actually been loving what Weiwei has been doing. I think a lot of this early tempo does come down to the Xin Zhao and the pressure he has on the lanes in the early game. Just getting that kill onto the mid lane, forcing out double summoners from the bot side as well. It's just so much pressure, and the Rek'Sai has been kept very busy because of that. This is something that I think a lot of junglers can learn from. A lot of times pathing is just about creating pressures in lane where you can slowly etch out those CS leads. A lot of times it's not even about getting those takedowns.
Looking down into the bottom lane, we see some items coming out. Both ADCs still in the pickaxe, but for me, I think Smlz is going to go for the Manamune build with this. Very often, when you go for that build, you're just going to stop, take your first back on the pickaxe, wait till you have the completed item, then you scale up better, you get a faster Q evolve, and that's going to be really good for Suning's early game lead so far.
I'm just looking around the map.
Uh-oh, Crowstorm coming in. They found the fear, but Maple, he's under the tower. Perfect execution comes in, but LGD won't find anything. Suning here on the flank. Will they go for it? Weiwei walks forward. SwordArt soon to follow. Flash in. Not going to be able to find the Q is SwordArt.
No, I really like that move, though. Flash for flash from support onto Akali. Definitely worth it there. And Maple, I think he just got a little bit lucky there. Or, I know what happened. Actually, SwordArt's ward, because it didn't have vision, he knew there was a control ward there. And the only one that was going to put a control ward there was the Fiddlesticks. So once they had vision of that, Maple was able to back out. That was a split-second decision, but very well made. And now it's going to be an Infernal for the Rift Herald. I have to say I still favor the Rift Herald a little bit in this scenario.
Could help LGD get a little bit more gold in their pockets because they've so far been struggling. Yes, they're only down 1K. Oh, no.
Never mind.
I don't think they're going to get anything at all here, Clement.
The smite is still a bit slow, so they're going to wait for Weiwei to come into position, but this is not a fight they want to take.
Oh, they're taking the engage onto Condi. There he goes. Lai's not going to be able to find anything on the Biubiu. So Suning don't make a trade at all. They get both objectives on both sides of the map.
And that's a thank you, Mr. Condi moment. He's the son of Baron, but apparently not the son of Herald. Not having the greatest of family relations right there. Condi actually holding on to his flash, and I have to call that a bit of a misplay. I think he greeted for the chance of smiting the Herald. Suning read right through him, didn't actually touch the Herald, instead went for his head.
Oh, Shuriken Flip, not going to find him right there. So after that one, Suning have a pretty convincing lead here in the early game. They've picked up the Infernal Drake. They have the Rift Herald available. That one's being held by Weiwei. So they have options of where to put it. Of course, the outer tower has not been taken down in any of the 3 lanes yet for either team. Just a quick update on the items. Smlz has picked up the Manamune plus the pickaxe, and alongside the Doran's Blade, that does mean he's going to have his Q evolve already.
And also with the press the attack, that's going to hurt quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
3 auto attacks, and you just unleash the Q.
It looks like Suning, they're putting all their eggs in the Smlz basket with this play, tossing the Rift Herald down here into the bottom lane, and then abandoning it, so Smlz is going to get the solo gold.
And you can see what's happening with this play is that Suning have so much mid lane priority, they're able to move a lot of pieces into that blue side jungle. Cleared out the entire side, made sure Condi wasn't there. So just a straight up 4v2 on the bottom side. And Kramer is in a very difficult situation. He actually has nowhere to farm.
Yeah, he got on the hunt, forced out 910 solo gold just from killing the tower there on Smlz. We saw him get about 300 earlier. So that's 1,200 more gold into his pocket. He's already got a 50 CS lead here onto Kramer. If you're LGD, how do you stop this man at this point?
Well, I think you try not to fight when he's around. That's probably the best option. Now, LGD, they do have a vulnerable turret on the top side that maybe they can move pieces there to take, but it's going to have to be Yuuki finding those kills. So I like what RD is doing here. They know that Kramer is very far behind. They're going to leave him in that pushed-in lane, that frozen lane, and just try to have him catch up. On the other, in the meantime, they're just going to have to find plays. Woo! That was pretty close.
Yeah, not quite going to find
top.
it. So that brings up an interesting question, though, Clement, because we mentioned that Kai'Sa really wants that 2-item spike, whereas Kramer can kind of subsist on just the Essence Reaver. Now that the Essence Reaver has been picked up before Smlz has technically gotten his 2 items, is this an opportunity for LGD to fight?
No. That's just a straight-up answer. He's too far behind Kai'Sa at this point. Almost 38 CS, almost 40 CS behind. And Suning are making all the correct moves right here. LGD, they froze the top wave, but that was going to be a slow rotation. And unfortunately for RD, he was actually spotted where he was standing. So they caught his back as well. 2 people off the map. Very easy rotation into the top side. LGD are, I think they're about to lose their mid as well.
Suning are just snowballing this game like mad, and this is a very different look from what we saw in the VG Gaming series.
Yes.
Because that was nowhere near as convincing as that. They looked a lot more lost. Their macro was nowhere near as decisive, except in the 3rd game. So it's interesting to see that it seems like whether it was Weiwei or whether it was the break in between the 2 series, Suning seemed to have ironed out their communication and their macro, if just a little bit.
Weiwei has had a great game so far. And just look at this positioning, you know, just inching forward, not trying to not give himself away against the Rek'Sai sonar. They're definitely very aware that this is coming.
Here comes the tower dive. Will they find the first kill? They will on Biubiu, but that means Condi's in a whole lot of trouble. He gets taken down. RD in trouble as well. Does not have the flash. He has it now, but it doesn't matter. The double kill comes in for Maple. And LGD take down 1 under the tower. They lose 2.
Read like a book. I really want to see that POV from Condi's perspective. Ooh,
oh, Yuuki's in trouble.
Oh!
Wow, what a great use of the Shuriken flip there onto the Twilight Shroud, but I don't think you're getting out of this one, buddy. No one's chasing from the back end, but Maple just going to try and run Yuuki down, and there's not a whole lot Yuuki can do to stall this one out. Maybe
can he get the execute?
No.
Essentially a triple kill for Maple. LGD do trade something back in the top lane, but still not worth it at all. And Suning just reading these plays so beautifully. I really want to see if that shuffle step from Weiwei actually fooled Condi into thinking, wait a minute, is someone actually there or not? But great read by them, good teleport from Maple. They get the unofficial triple kill here. And Lies, what are you doing? No mana.
No mana, but does have the flash. Well, rather he did. And now the second dragon of the game going to be picked up by Suning there. It is a Cloud Drake, and the next one's Cloud as well. So not the best Drakes, but this also wasn't the best dive.
Just taking a look at this one, Condi has to go in. Actually, probably not necessary. Condi wanted to make sure that kill was secured, but seeing the rest of the members there, I actually think a better play would have been to back off. Oh!
What a hook!
I will say, though, that dredge lines are a lot easier to hit than rocket grabs. Something about that anchor is just absolutely massive. And if it just snipes you on the shoulder or your tailcoats, you get the hook. But
you're gone.
Great anticipation nonetheless from SwordArt. Mid lane plus the Kramer kill.
This is, I want to say this is an entirely different Suning from the last series, and I'm feeling a little bit bad about predicting that LGD would take this one out. Yes, it's game one, but Condi's in so much trouble. This isn't just a now thing. This has been a whole game thing for him.
Yeah, when you're the Rek'Sai and you don't get anything going early, your lanes are behind, it's pretty damn rough. So what happened with LGD, I think their composition drew them into too many directions. This is something I missed in the ban pick phase. But essentially what LGD wanted was a winning top lane and a winning bot lane at the same time. And Condi really couldn't focus on either of them. He needed to keep his bot lane safe. Top lane, he got the tower, and you can see Lies is still very much in the lead. But he's not been a factor anywhere. So the investment from LGD essentially is not giving them any returns, while Suning's early pathing from Weiwei has been such a masterclass. It's absolutely a pleasure to watch someone just think about creative pathing, you know, going to the Wolves instead of the Raptors and giving himself a way back onto the bottom side of the map.
This is something we mostly have been praising SOFM for during the regular split, but it's exciting to see other junglers taking these creative pathings as well. And now Yuuki's going to try and clear out the top wave, but this is a little bit of a problem here for LGD because their AD carry is so far behind. Their goals, as we established, were to get a winning top lane, winning bot lane. They've got neither of those. What is their hope back into this one at this point?
Well, they can still farm it out. That's kind of like the standard answer when something bad happens. But if you look at their composition, all they really need is just one good Crow Storm, and they're back in the game. We've seen it happen before. RD's not my favorite Fiddlesticks. I have to say Lumao has been the most impressive on that champion. But you have to remember that Crow Storm does a lot of damage. You know, level 16, I believe it's 300 per tick, which is absolutely insane. So it's really up to Suning. If they leave blind spots around the spaces that they want to go, then LGD still have a chance.
Till then, though, it's going to be all about Suning establishing some vision of their own, making sure those flanks are healed up. And you know, it's 35 seconds until the Baron spawns, and with an 80 carry this far ahead, that's not exactly off the table entirely.
Look at their Drakes. They also have the Infernal down. I still think this is going to be a relatively slow. I don't think it's going to be the fastest Baron take. So LGD, if they just get a couple blue trinkets right now, they should still be able to just drag this out. And I like how patient they are. They're not going into the red side jungle just yet. They know it's not necessary given Suning's Baron timing.
Will spawn very soon though, so hopefully they'll get some wards in there because Suning have certainly been getting wards because look at that red side, red buff jungle. LGD's jungle has been entirely lit up there by Suning. You're going to have to clear out quite a few wards if they want to get control of that again. Seems like they have been able to now. But it's a lot of pressure Suning have. They'll be able to catch out any movement on this side of the map.
This is really good play from LGD. They were patient. They didn't rush in to get vision as soon as it was taken away. They waited until Smlz showed himself clearing the mid wave, and then they walked in from 3 different directions. I have to say, I'm really enjoying this control from LGD. They didn't rush into danger at all.
But they may be looking for that Crow Storm you were talking about. They will get spotted out on that ward. Not quite have the third auto to finish it off, so we'll have to use a control ward for it.
Okay, now that is bad coordination
Yeah.
coming here from LGD. Never really want to use both at the same time. And these things do matter when you're trying to contest for a Cloud Drake. This is a Drake that's quite beneficial to LGD's composition. They are a rundown comp.
They missed the first one. They may very well be on track to miss the second one, but a lot of pings going on towards the Baron area from both teams at this point. It looks like LGD might be looking to set up a bait. They know they haven't been spotted so far, but can they find the Crow Storm? Kramer uses the On the Hunt. Here comes the Crow Storm. They may be able to find Weiwei. They do, but the team fight is broken out, and Suning are chasing down. Yuuki looks for a kill onto the side. Smlz incredibly low, but he's still alive. They trade kills. Now, under the tower, LGD still alive with Lies and Kramer. Maple goes to dive in, but the tower and Kramer take him out. Now, LGD and Suning, both 2 members remaining here in the mid lane.
Interesting start of the fight from both sides. Suning actually willingly took the bait from Kramer. That was very obvious that there was a Fiddlestick somewhere around, thinking that they would have Maple and his AoE damage to then close out the rest of the team composition. But great save by Yuuki. Yuuki stopping Smlz there single-handedly kept that team fight even. Now, just to take a look at this, there's no way that Weiwei doesn't think someone's behind there. He's just thinking that he can stay alive with the Crescent Scar. And if you look at this fight, there's some reason to believe that was the right move. But Yuuki coming in from the flank, not going with the rest of the team, and stopping Smlz from closing down those kills on Kramer and Lies was so important from them actually winning the team fight. They're able to split it up in 2 sides. And this was a team that was down by 6,000 gold, coming even into it. Great move by the mid laner from LGD.
Yep, LGD, but it is worth noting they were barely able to kill Smlz, so they're going to have to be a little bit more careful in the further team fights. And even though LGD came out of that one pretty happy, they do have to give over the Cloud Drake. So now 2 in the pocket of Suning. They won't get that little addition to their rundown composition. But the Baron now, a lot of vision here from Suning, and they're setting up around it.
That timer's always ticking as well. Kramer going to get very close to those crit items. Look at him right now, already with the 25 plus 25 and also the crit cloak as well. So if he gets a couple of lucky bounces, there's not a lot of members on Suning that can take that sort of damage.
It's all about the critiches here in the team fights for Kramer. He's going to have to be careful. Suning trying now the positioning that LGD was able to find earlier. RD has the flash. He has the Crow Storm still available. They need to find a target for it, but they don't have the vision to support them just yet.
That control ward looks awfully suspicious.
Yeah.
Suning saw that and is like, yeah, you guys are probably there.
No, friends, it is just control ward. It's fine. We promise.
I like the positioning of that control ward, though. If you want to clear it out, then someone in Raptors could easily take you out.
Yeah, but now Suning, they just take this opportunity, and they're starting up the Baron. They know that backs have come out. Backs are still coming out from Lies. He has the teleport back in. They spot out the Baron. It will be reset here by Suning. But LGD now, they have to be careful of their positioning. They know this is happening, but the question is, can RD find another beautiful Crow Storm for them?
It's going to be mighty difficult. All of the sweepers have already been used. You can see the top one behind the red has not been spotted out, and that one is actually the crucial one because they spotted RD. And once you see the Fiddlesticks, you can instantly go for Baron without the fear of getting jumped on.
RD, still level 9, won't have the level 11 ultimate bonus. So not going to have a ton of damage here, but if it's in the Baron pit that he can find the ultimate unspotted, that is so much damage because of the Baron damage amplification on the targets. That would just be disaster for Suning. So they're understandably playing pretty carefully around this one.
You know what I want to see?
What's
I
that,
want to
Clement?
see Maple with its own surprise party. I think double Crow Storm, because you have so much AP. I think it's actually a good idea to get the Crow Storm. Just think about LGD's composition. They don't have any tanks. You Crow Storm in and then you Zhonya's. What does LGD do? I don't think they can do anything against that.
Die, most likely. Without the On the Hunt, you have absolutely no escapes available from that, unless you want to blow a flash. But then, depending on who you are, you really need that
He has
flash.
a stopwatch to do it now.
Yeah. Maybe he's looking for the same plan there, Clement.
I really want to see this play happen, but I want to see Suning bait out the Crow Storm and then Crow Storm onto LGD. I think that's a great way to play.
That is one of the things about the Sylas that makes it such a scary pick, especially in the hands of an experienced mid laner like Maple. Because you're going to have experience using most of the ultimates. Maybe not the Fiddlesticks, admittedly. Fiddlesticks mid has happened, I think, like once in competitive. But it does give you opportunities to play very uniquely around the enemy composition. And in this case, work out really well. Ooh. RD, that's the flash blown. And that is so bad.
If he still had that flash, then he could go from Raptor Wall into River itself. But without that, that actually clears a lot of space for Suning, allows them to ward rather shallowly and still get Baron.
Oh no, Smlz chasing down onto Lies, and he's been caught in a 1 versus 3. What are you doing? Oh no, more damage though. They might be able to find Maple as a return kill. He goes golden, so he's not going to find the Fiddlesticks ultimate, but he will find his own gravestone.
Gotta say that was super greedy from Maple. Definitely unwarranted mistake. Your entire team is on the bottom side of the map. And just dying like that takes away the opportunity to get Baron for Suning.
Feels like this might be another communication problem, because it was like, hey, Maple, we're just gonna be diving bot here. Be careful. Oh, you want me to dive in 1v3? Got it. I'm on it, team.
Yeah, that was a pretty big tempo breaker for Suning, honestly.
Allows LGD to try and put a little bit more vision down. Yuuki gonna be stopped there by the W from Smlz, and Smlz is sitting on some massive items right now.
Yeah, that was Maple straight on chasing Yuuki from Krugs.
Huh.
Yeah, definitely a big mistake from Maple. We have to call those out, because if that bottom kill was there, you switch it over to the Baron, and then you think of Fiddle without Flash. You have so much leeway over that one, so giving up that opportunity really does cost you a lot of time, and gives Kramer that time to farm up. He already has Infinity Edge completed, 75% crit right now.
He's got his 3 items, and if we look on the other side, still on LGD, you have Yuuki, who last time, his goal was entirely to take down Smlz. He had a little bit of problems because he was lacking damage, but now he's got the finished Morellonomicon. He's got a stopwatch to extend the play a little bit longer. You don't necessarily have to kill Smlz in these fights for Yuuki. You can keep him out long enough for your team to clean up. That's job well done.
It's going to be all about the vision game. The Infernal Drake makes it double for Suning here.
He's going to go over to them. LGD just wasn't able to find the footing to contest. Baron is still on the map. Of course, double Infernal over here for Suning. And this next Dragon is going to be so important as well. It's another Infernal, making it 3 in this game.
Yep, 33 minutes in. And that's going to be a must contest for LGD. The thing about something like the Fiddlesticks is, if you have map control, it's great. But when you're behind and you have to jump into river, it just makes life so difficult. I want to see if RD will think about that and maybe try to ambush Suning from their own side of the jungle. Like, that would be pretty cool. He could do it in Agent Fiddlesticks play.
Last week we saw Lumao do that incredibly well. So RD would probably like to take a page out of his book. But at this point in the game, now that LGD have had a little bit of time to farm up for Kramer, are they still praying for that magical Crow Storm, or have they bought themselves enough time to be able to contest?
Oh, they definitely have enough burst damage now. If you think about the entire combination, just 1 Shock Blast, a Akali ultimate, and a couple crits is enough to take down any member on Suning's side.
Lies needs to be careful here. Baron still heavily contested by both of these teams. They're trying to establish vision around it. The problem is, the more vision that Suning gets here, the less potent RD's Crow Storms will be. He has hit level 11, which means he's going to have the level 2 Crow Storm available. A little bit of extra damage in his pocket. But right now, vision is the name of the game.
It's very difficult for Suning to actually walk into this. If you look at their entire composition, they don't actually have great ways to check for brushes. There's nothing like the Ezreal Q, Mystic Shot, where you can just throw out repeatedly.
3,000 on the Baron. LGD, they have to know what's happening at this point. They blow up Condi, and now the Baron going to be taken down as well by Suning. It looks like LGD may have missed their opportunity.
Oh, that was so smart. That was such a good pre-planned play. Now, if you look at the warding, they had a control at the back of the red side, so Condi had to face check that, and SwordArt was right there waiting for them. A very well choreographed play, and it secures them Baron.
3 minutes remaining now on that Baron buff. Smlz still massive here on this Kai'Sa, plus the double Infernal. This is looking really scary for LGD. They may have to make their last stand here. It's 30 minutes in. One more good push from Suning could spell the end of the game.
And LGD didn't have a say in that. Like, Kramer didn't even get an auto attack off in that fight. No, so no use of the crit play right there. If you look at the entire map, you can understand what Suning were doing was that they were keeping track of the trinket timers. You just use your trinket inside the Baron pit. You're not going to have a trinket for this brush. I'm going to wait here and instantly burst you down with the staggering blow and the Kai'Sa plasma procs. That was ingenious. I really love that play from Suning.
And it's paid off for them in a big way. They have 2 minutes still remaining on the Baron buff. Of course, they have 3 items on their mid laner. They have 5 items completed. That's actually full 6 slotted there for Smlz at 30 minutes into the game. So that is dangerous, because if you look at the options for taking down Smlz, what do you really have for LGD? I mean, Yuuki only has 2 items.
It's going to be super difficult. I think Condi's going to have to try and get a flash knock-up to finish off the entire combo. That's one thing that you can't cleanse easily. Or if you do, you at least have to cleanse flash.
Maybe looking for it. Of course, Smlz has both the cleanse and the flash available. So at this point, LGD still clearing out their side, playing defensively. They need to stall past this Baron buff, and now it might just be looking for the Desperation Crowstorm once again, unless they can find a really beautiful fight for themselves.
I like Suning's answer here as well. They're doing the 1-3-1, keeping themselves split up, so they don't all take the Crowstorm at the same time. And LGD really have no answer. They're caught unawares here.
Maple and Biubiu sitting there on the flanks, both in mid and top lane, and they're just going to keep pushing that one in. Here comes the Crowstorm. They may be able to pick off Biubiu, but it's not enough CC to keep him down. Doesn't matter. Artie will find the kill nonetheless. It's just a 4 versus 5 remaining on the field here in favor of LGD.
And they can continue with the pickoff.
Oh,
Never mind.
Oh no, Lies got taken down. The engage there from Maple and Smlz, just too strong. The Killer Instinct to follow it up. And now top lane inhibitor tower has been taken down. This could be the end of the game here for Suning. Inhibitor not going to fall just yet.
At least going to be 2 inhibitors here. I just wanted to say that LGD had a chance there with the catch on Biubiu. They didn't expend their flash or their ultimate on Yuuki. There was a chance to get the 4v5, but you just, it's so hard to keep track of all the hard CC that Suning can proc plasma stacks off of. That was just Maple using the abduct, getting that short knock-up. Instantly Smlz follows up, and he's full item. So there's nothing Lies can do right there, and it's really easy to forget that and how strong Kai'Sa is in the 1-3-1 comp.
She's going all for the single target damage too. You've seen no Runin's Hurricane. She's able to make these massive burst plays. Now teleport coming in from LGD Gaming. Not going to be finding a flank here for LGD. Artie's already chunked down to half health. So if he wants to find the Crowstorm, he will probably trade his life for it at this point.
I wonder if Suning want to risk this. For me, they could actually just pick up the triple Infernal and, you know, just be on their merry way, get another back in. They're going to go for the riskier play and try to end it right here, right now, though.
Still no Baron available for them. Smlz just frontlining a little bit. He doesn't have to be all that afraid. He still has the ultimate, still has the flash, still has the cleanse. He's going to be the key member in this fight here for LGD Gaming. Just 1 inhibitor remaining, and the waves are crashing in mid top. SwordArt goes in, but on the Huntsman pop, they try and get some disengage here for LGD, but that's not a full engage. Now the 3rd inhibitor has fallen here in favor of Suning. Question is where they're going to go next, because it looks like they still want to push for this. They still want to push for the end.
Oh, they're going to go next for sure. They definitely have that on the mind. There's a lot safer plays to be made right here. The triple Infernal would be nice, but they don't care. They're actually just going to try and finish it here. No.
May not have the wave for it at this point. Looks like they'll back out there. Stolen, perfect execution for Maple, going to get him over the wall, and now, of course, the Infernal Drake is on the map. Smlz going to pick up the red buff as well, so now Suning have all 3 inhibitor lanes opened up for them, so all they're really going to need is one more good push, and doesn't look like they even have to stop to get it. The flash in, the Killer Instinct to follow, Kramer's down, Smlz finds the solo kill, and now LGD are down in 80 carry. They're almost down their chances. Here comes the Crowstorm. They're trying to find the damage. Smlz down to half health. They might find him. They get the shutdown off the back of Yuuki. They find another one. LGD still have some damage threats remaining, but Maple still full health. He's trying to find the picks. The perfect execution, the double kill for the mid laner of Suning. They'll find Condi. They'll find the ace. And it looks like this will be game number 1 going over to Suning.
Unnecessary, true, but kind of cool nonetheless. That was a 3v5 scenario where they just basically walked in and cleaned house with LGD, showing how much ahead they were in that series the entire way. Great control in the early game, great finish to it as well.
Yeah, Suning were a little bit scary in there, because I was worried that at some point they would show the problems that they had shown for the previous series where they were having troubles with the communication. And to be fair, that one play where Maple got picked off, that wasn't exactly great from them, but they showed a lot of patience, they showed a lot of foresight with the play around the Baron, and this is a much better look for Suning.
It definitely is. I think so many things fell into place for them. They played the early game much stronger than we've ever seen before. I think that's the main point. Sure, it's still the same Kai'Sa composition, but Smlz is in dying level 2, which happened multiple times in the first series against VG, and they're able to keep all of their lanes relatively even. They're able to scale out and make good macro plays to get themselves ahead. This is a very different Suning squad that we see from previous times. Usually what happened with Suning is that they actually fell behind in the laning phase. They had difficulty in the macro game, and it felt like a Hail Mary to come back late. But this is a Suning with a lot more pose and a lot more control.
And this is very much not what I expected against LGD, because I thought you have Kramer, you have Yuuki, you have Lies, you have these strong solo laners, you have a strong AD carry, and maybe you may be able to abuse the communication from Suning, but it looked like they were very tight. They had a lot of good plans to get past any issues they had. Yes, Maple did get picked off, but it didn't shake them. It didn't give LGD an opportunity to get back into the game. It just slowed them down a little bit.
And even though, in my perspective, Weiwei outplayed Condi a lot, I don't actually blame Condi that much. I think this game was a case where laning mistakes too early on dictated lanes too much. Level 2, actually he burned his flash level 1 on Kramer. You get that sort of a snowball, and then you get caught in mid lane with your pants down. You blow the flash and you still die to a Xin Zhao gank earlier on. Those things accumulate really fast. And you also saw Suning actually had wave control over the mid lane and the bot lane at the same time. It made Condi's life super difficult. They never got a good footing into the early game. This is just one of those games where you're going up against a very good team in Suning that knows how to punish you. You can't make those early game mistakes and just give over so much control on the map. If I'm LGD, I'm not too sad about this game. I'm just saying to myself, okay, you know what? We just have to play the lanes better. It's okay to be a little bit more safe and not die, give up that many summoners to these to these games, and we should still be fine.
LGD, I think, despite the loss, I think that looked a little bit promising because they were able to start pulling it back. They were able to make the plays that could have gotten them back into the game. Obviously, they weren't perfect because Suning still won, and there's a lot I'd like to see. Like you said, the laning mistakes were pretty big from them. But I think overall, the fact that they were still able to keep their heads in the game, still making plays, is promising for this series as a whole and the team.
Yeah, definitely, for sure that's the case. I think what LGD should focus on in the next game is try not to do a full bench press against Suning. Try to focus on 1 or 2 lanes that you really want to snowball. Try to play one side at a time. You know, if you have a Jayce, that Jayce, even though he had a 40 ECS lead in the top lane, it just didn't do anything because he wasn't snowballed upon by the jungler. Condi had to go bot side. He couldn't help with the top lane turret plating. They lost the Herald because of the missed timings. So a lot of these issues just snowballed. And LGD, I think you guys are a great team, but probably not that far ahead of Suning, where you can start to play this kind of style where it's like, all points on the map are going to win. We're going to take this one with ease. So try to really nail it down to just 1 or 2 lanes and give them the proper snowballing attention they need.
All right, well, LGD going to have to stop with the full court press, or Suning are going to get the easy 2-0 dunk on them. We're going to find out how it happens in game number 2.